Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. It is Monday night. Martin O'Neill has spoken to Celtic TV in a nothing interview. Before we talk about Martin O'Neill and his interview, if you can call it that, it is Monday night. Let's talk about, I'm going to carry on from where we were this morning, talking about potential, and the last couple of nights, talking about the next potential Celtic manager. And I want to dive into the realms of why a certain manager may think it's time to leave his current position. The average age of his team, as it stands at the moment, is 30, 27, 29, 34, 31, 31, 29, 27, 28, 28, 34, 30, 30, 29, 29, 34, 30, and 30. If you're a manager of an aging squad, if you are the manager of an aging squad, you might go into this summer and go, it's maybe time to leave. And when you're an international manager, you might be thinking, do you know what? There's not a lot of youngsters coming through this national team that can make it better. I've got 4 years to plan for the next one. 2 years for the next big competition. There's not a lot of this squad that will be up to it in the next 2 years. You're talking about players that are 30. There's quite a lot of the squad that are 30-year-old. In international terms, when you start playing the majority of squad that are 32, you're over the hill, aren't you? Let's be honest. So maybe that is why Stevie Clark has come out and said, I want my managerial position sorted out before the World Cup. Hint, hint to Celtic. If you are going to make me an offer, make me it before the World Cup and not after, because I don't want to go away to America and then come back and then, I want it decided now what's happening with Scotland and if I am going to get the Celtic job. Will it be the case that when you look at the age of the squad, the Scotland squad, and there are no younger players coming through in mass, the fact that there was not a single Celtic player started the game the other night is testament to that. You can always tell how bad a Scotland squad is. Angus Gunn, 30. Liam Kelly, 30. Scott Bain, 34. Scott McKenna, 29. John Souttar, 29. Dominic Hyam, 30. Jack Henry, 30. Jack Henry's 30. That's bonkers. When you think of Jack Henry that came through, and I'm not saying that he's going to get the job. All I'm saying is that you can understand why Stevie Clark is trying to maybe lay down the gauntlet to everybody concerned and say, look, let's get this moving on, because the age of the squad is telling. And Grant Hanley, 34. Andy Robertson, 32. Even at 32, he's still worth £10 million. That valuation has come way down. Kieran Tierney is worth £8 million. He's valued at, Kieran Tierney. And he's 28. Nathan Patterson is 24. Ross Corrie's 28. Tony Ralston, 27 years old and is worth 1.5 million. Tony Ralston should be at the prime of his career right now, 27. You should be playing the best football of your life. Billy Gilmour's 24. Scott McTominay's 29. He's worth 45 million pounds. Oof. Lewis Ferguson's worth 18. Who'd have think that little rat that was playing up in Aberdeen is now worth 18 million? John McGinn is still at 31. He's in around the 15 mark. Lennon Miller, and this is interesting, Transfer Market now have Lennon Miller is valued at 10 million. 10 million for Lennon Miller. It's John McGinn all over it, isn't it? John McGinn, who is 31, is valued at 15 million. Lewis Ferguson, 18 million. Ryan Christie, The player that Celtic sold for £3 million is allegedly still worth £9 million at 31 years old. That is bonkers. That is completely and utterly mad. Celtic sold Ryan Christie with only 6 months remaining on his contract, and he is still worth £9 million. Andrew Irvine, he's worth £5 million. He's 25-year-old. Kenny McLean is worth 500 grand at 34-year-old. Finlay Curtis is 19 and from Newcastle. He's worth 900 grand. Tommy Conway is 23-year-old. He's worth 10 million. Che Adams, 8.5 million for Che Adams. Football's gone mad if Che Adams is worth 8.5 million. It's bonkers. George Hurst is 27. He's worth 8 million. And Lyndon Dykes, 30-year-old, is worth 1 million. It just goes to show that when you think about the reasons that a manager might go, do you know what? I think I will just take the Celtic job. It's going to be a bit easier. Don't know. I'm going to have money to buy players. In the international game, you don't really have a lot of. Well, you can't dip into the transfer market. You've got to go and beg lads that are English and to come and play for Scotland. Is your mother is your grand Scottish, mate? No, she isn't. That's what I want to say. Anyway, it's just a thought because obviously Clark has been mentioned with the Scotland job, and I just wanted to look at the reasons why this evening, why that he would leave the Scotland job, because you've got to say he's been successful. You could say that he's been successful in the role. He's got Scotland to 3 tournaments. He's got them to a World Cup for the first time since France '98. But the reason that he might want to leave Scotland now on a high, certain Celtic managers have kind of left on a high and they've achieved things. And you can maybe say that, you know, there is a train of thought that might think, yeah, Stevie Clark, he could be the man to do the job for us. Anyway, it's just all about getting conversation going. Who do you think will be the next Scotland manager? Talking about managers, we need to talk about the current manager. I was told over the weekend that Craig Bellamy has spoken to the board about the job as part of a 4-manager shortlist. I hope Stevie Clark signs a new Scotland deal, says Scott. Obviously, they were always waiting on Wales to see if Wales could get to the World Cup. They were linked with Bellamy before Wilfred Nancy. I'll just put your message up there, Scott. They were linked with Bellamy before Wilfred Nancy, so you always knew that. I mean, Craig Bellamy said back in December, there's no way that I'm leaving Wales when there's still a chance that we can qualify for the World Cup. So that kind of just went boom for that one back then, didn't it? And if he has spoken to Celtic, I mean, you would expect Celtic to speak to the likes of Craig Bellamy. Don't know, he's got that slight Celtic connection, but I hope it's not Bellamy as well. It's the best of a bad bunch, isn't it? Club football does not suit Clark's family dynamics. He said that years ago after Killie. Interesting, because he's not going to walk into another national manager's job after this summer, is he? So he's going to have to walk back into, if he wants to keep on managing, he's going to have to go back into the thick of things and get a proper job, as they say. Not that international football is not a proper job, but it's not exactly a 9 to 5, is it? You go and watch some games at the weekend, take some notes. He's pish. He might do. Is he Scottish? Take a note of him. Ask him if his grand's Scottish. Phone me. Your grand Scottish. Fuck off, you. What do you want to kill for, you dirty old man? Anyway, great respect for Stevie Clark, but I don't think that he'll be our next manager. It's all about just getting conversation going. I don't think that Stevie Clark will be the next. I hope not, because it'll be a complete bore fest if he is. Let's get on to Martin O'Neill, because Martin O'Neill did an interview with Celtic TV, and I'm going to be honest, it was a nothing update. We start off the interview. Martin, we're in the middle of an international break, where from a Celtic point of view, the main aim to get everyone back. Where are you in terms of getting players back, the likes of Callum? There was one player that's been phenomenal for Celtic since the beginning of December, and he wasn't even acknowledged by Martin O'Neill. Callum Osman, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Jota, they're all at different stages, right? Okay, well, you want to name, mentioned there. We knew that Cameron Carter-Vickers and Jota were out for the season. I don't know why we keep regurgitating this. Big Rab, I never once said that Stevie Clark was for the next Celtic manager's job. All I spoke about is the reasons for why he may be thinking about leaving the Scotland job. Just to correct you there, pal. John McGinn before Clark. Just back from Prague, still gutted. Celtic need to turn things around big time. Yeah, they do that, don't they? But anyway, back to Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill says he spoke about Jota and Cameron Carter-Vickers. We all knew months ago that they were out for the season. I don't know why there seems to be this thing that people thought they were going to be back before the end of the season. At no point has anyone said that they would be back. If anything, it was always the summer. It was always getting ready for pre-season that they were going to be back. But anyway, they're still unavailable for next season, says Martin. Young Callum is doing really well in training. He's very anxious to go. He's been working hard, exceptionally well, says Martin. So hopefully he wouldn't be too far away. Stephen Presley's side are one of mixed fortunes. Who cares about Stephen Presley? I want to just get back to, he spoke about the games that we had and the 94th, 97th minute and goals type stuff. They're a strong outfit. And then that was it. It was a nothing update, was it, really? I mean, he spoke about players that are going to be back in the next... But we knew this. It's like Celtic were just putting out content, and it was only, I think Martin O'Neill spoke for 1 minute 30 seconds of the whole 1 minute 52. And then you see the comments. I mean, I'll read some of the comments from the video. Desmond is destroying our club. And few St. Martins. Paywall TV strikes again. Why do I need to pay for this? It's ridiculous. Let's have some actual tactics. Can we just pass it to Larson, anyone? Hoping Hearts can do it. Just Paywall FC joke. And that is the comments on the video. Question, where is Jota is another one. So yeah, not many people even bother commenting on it because it's like, what's the fucking point? I don't know. To be fair, it's only had 2,000 views as of this point. So, can't play that. Celtic will go mental. But that's poor, actually, from a Celtic perspective. 2,107 views in 3 hours. It's maybe had a bit more than that. It's probably had about 3,000 or 4,000 views, but I mean, that's poor from a Celtic perspective. Don't care if it's an international week. And it just shows you from a social media aspect how inadequate Celtic are when it comes to certain things. I mean, I know the guys that are there do a fantastic job with the limited resources that they have compared to a lot of big clubs, but you just think they could. I mean, they put out a Jota happy birthday thing this morning, didn't they? Anyway, right. Bruni's up. Bruni. Oh, should we talk about Bruni? Poor Bruni. He's been sacked. He has been. He was expecting that, wasn't he, Scott Brown? Because he did say in an interview that there were a lot of people that didn't want him at the club. Sectarian rife in every walk. Is Scott Brown a serious contender? Or, unfortunately, is Scott Brown going to be a Paul Lambert type manager? You know, not all great midfield generals are great managers. Paul Lambert was fantastic in the midfield. Absolutely brilliant in the midfield. And it just makes you wonder if Brownie's going to, he will want to go again. Do you know, he took that job and he stayed with them. I think he had a chance to move. Did he not have a chance to move to Dundee or something at one point? But he decided to stay with them. Gavboy says it's been a season of fans saying if only doesn't win games. No, it doesn't. This is very true. It's very, very. Bruni could be the new Lenny. Nah, not a chance. No disrespect to Scott, but mm, I think that if you're Scott tonight and you're sitting thinking about your next move, I would seriously consider going and learning and becoming a number two for a period. I think that would be the best thing for Scott. I mean, I know that Neil Lennon didn't do it. Neil Lennon just went straight into management, straight in at the deep end. But Scott's had a couple of bad experiences now. And if you look at, people are saying that Sean Maloney should get the Celtic manager's job. Sean Maloney was woeful at Hibs. Sean Maloney got sacked from Hibs. What makes you think he's going to be a fantastic Celtic manager? Just because he's had us playing some decent football and then he's reverted to the back-to-back side passing stuff. I think that from Scott's perspective, I think it would do him the world of good. He might not want to do it. Do you know? He might think, nah, but I would think that for furthering his career, a little spell as a number two to somebody would be fantastic for him. Don't know. But he's his own man. He'll think that he can go to another club and he can make it work. He'll learn from the mistakes, and ultimately that's what football managers have to do. They have to learn from the mistakes. They dust themselves down. Do you know? They wait for the next opening, and it's completely different from playing football, where other teams want you. You know, when you're a manager, when you're out of favour because you've not done that well at a couple of clubs, you kind of fall down the pecking order quite quick. You can rise to the top really quick in football management if you're good. And if a lot of it's luck, isn't it? Because you're putting your trust in players. And as we've seen, you know, Wilfred Nancy came into Celtic, put his trust in the players, and the players went, fucking, I don't know what you're wanting to do, mate. I'm just no idea. And you know, did the Celtic players throw the manager under the bus? I don't know. But it's always the manager that ends up going. Do you know, players don't get sacked, managers do get sacked. And I feel for Scott. But he's big enough and ugly enough. Do you know what I mean? He'll be walking his dog down the coast of the 4th of a morning, contemplating life. And you never know, he might get a job on television come the World Cup. It's maybe perfect timing for Scott because he'll get some TV gigs. You never know, he might get a wee trip to America. Anyway, and he'll be like, when you go, will you send back? You wee fucking hibby. Anyway, apparently he pushed himself against their advice. That's Scott Brown all over, isn't it? Get Bruni back as a coach now. There's a thought. I mean, would Scott Brown be... I mean, I know it's above him, and I know that Scott Brown under Brendan Rodgers' first time was doing a lot with the academy. But would that be below him right now? Do you know, coming back to Celtic and maybe doing stuff with the academy? Or, you never know, rather than the Motherwell manager bringing in John Collins, why doesn't he bring in Scott Brown as his number two? Would you take that? There's a thought. Marco Rose is in a job. Is Marco Rose in a job? I've no idea. Stevie Clark will be the next manager. You're still pumping the Stevie Rose. Not good enough for Fleetwood. Not good enough for Ayr. Yep, give him the Celtic job. Not for me. Take the emotional attachment. Papers reporting that Julian Araujo's timeline is shit, and we'll be back sooner than expected. Close, yeah, that's just what we were told last night, funnily enough, by someone that was close to the situation. Funny that, isn't it? Funny that, isn't it? Never trust the media. In my opinion, Steve Clark with Maloney, Fozzie McManus, and hopefully Martin O'Neill will be offered position on the board to help with signings and rapport with the fans and bring stability. Jim, would that be enough? That's what I was going to do. Would that be enough to call off the hounds? And I mean that in the nicest terms. And by calling off the hounds, I mean the Celtic fans collective. Because seemingly they've put out another statement tonight. They are having another meeting this week, the Celtic fans collective. 4 hours ago. The decision by Celtic FC to allow other fans clubs access Lennoxtown to interview Celtic players for banning our own media is the latest. Oh, fuck off, Jesus God. Oh. Oy, oy, oy. We all knew, right? Listen, the Anfield Rap put out the thing yesterday. That obviously it was all about the fact that they were going to interview, and I'm not even getting into it. I'm not getting into it. It's honestly, it's fucking spitting the dummy out for spitting the dummies out case. Clark can. Lenny came in at this point of the season, 2008, and give the team a lift. Brownie could do the same. But as if Celtic were out the running for the league and Hearts had to beat us on the final day to stop the Huns winning, what's your choice? Luckily, we won't have to make that choice because Hearts game will be the second game. There's no way Hearts game will be the no way. Well, you would want Hearts to do it. I'd rather Hearts, to be honest, rather than that lot getting to 56 before us. They've not even getting to 56. They bought the titles, but yeah, nah, it's not happening. A lot of airheads want him gone. Surprise, surprise. Well, exactly. He's managing in a bit of the country that's not exactly Hibs or Celtic minded. Do you know? That's all I'm saying. Maybe if he ran down the street getting it fucking, he might have fucking got on better, but he's not going to do that, is he? He doesn't talk about. He's always doing Celtic stuff. That's probably why they hated him. I don't know. That's probably why they hated him. Brownie done decent for decent. Well, yeah. Steve Clark is next Celtic manager. Did you know that Maloney worked with assistant at Wigan? Interesting. But Sean Maloney's not going to be the assistant next year. He's already said that. Sean Maloney, and what we didn't know is Sean Maloney told the board that he's only staying at Celtic for the 2 years, which is interesting. So he's basically taken 2 years out of football management to come into Celtic and do the pathway stuff and said, look, I'll do this job for 2 years and then I'm going to look at other stuff. And when he was thrown into the limelight of Martin O'Neill and stuff, he said, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm going back to the pathway manager's job in the summer. And I'll stay for the I promise you the 2 years and that's it. But anyway, Hibs had short-termism with Maloney and also Neil Lennon, and We need serious tactics. Even a top-class striker would struggle to get goals. There's very little support. That's down to the speed. There's only one way that you're going to change the way that Celtic play, and it is not passing it out slow from the back, building up for the back. It's getting the ball out quick and moving up the pitch fast. The way that we did under Brendan Rodgers the first time round, the way that we did under Ange Postecoglou. You know, when it comes to Scotland, the next Celtic manager has to realise that when he comes to Scotland, he's going to face pretty much 10 teams that are going to sit back behind the ball and be a complete bore fest, because that is what Scottish football has become. And you can blame the other managers in the league for it. You know, it's like sit back for 90 minutes, 80 minutes and at Celtic Park and, you know, just be defensive and, you know, try and hit on the break if you can. But then with 10 minutes to go, you know, let's go for it. And it's boring football. Absolutely boring football. What needs to change is Celtic getting the ball out faster and getting it out to the full width of the wings, which we don't just now. You know, Brendan Rodgers had us playing narrow. Martin O'Neill, when he first came back, had us using the width of the pitch. But now he's went narrow again. Why? Who's he listening to? Sean bloody Maloney, that's who he's listening to. Brownie can go to Motherwell and we can get their manager. We are stuck with Ralston for now. Yes. Maloney is my first P45 in the summer. Why? Why? I think Maloney was doing wonders. I think people underappreciate what Sean Maloney was actually doing in the job that he had as pathway manager, because he took the level of Celtic and the reputation of Celtic, he took it from down here in the gutter and he was building it back up. He was building contacts within clubs and he was doing a lot of good stuff behind the scene. And I think a lot of people underappreciate exactly what he was doing behind the scenes. You know, you can only go on what other people have been saying when he was in the job. And the difference between Sean Maloney in that position and Darren O'Dea was just fucking taking the piss by the sounds of it. Just taking the piss. Anyway, how does McGregor work out that 15 points will win the league when Hearts are 5 in front? I have no idea. Serious lack of quality. Yeah, that's true. Stephen says, definitely agree, Scott Brown is not quite ready for another manager's position. Possibly could work with McManus and be in and around the Celtic scene. But would he see that as below him? Do you know, he said that he always wanted to go out and do his own thing and he wanted to learn from his mistakes. I just think that sometimes in football you can have a fantastic player, you know, someone that can read the game, someone that can, you know, is I mean, look at Paul McStay. He just walked away from football, did he not? I've no idea what he's doing in Australia, but do you know, he couldn't wait to get away from Scotland. When you look at Paul Lambert, brilliant in midfield. Paul Lambert won the Champions League. Legend in Germany. They cried when he said he was leaving to come back to Scotland, to Celtic, after the World Cup. And it just hasn't worked out for Paul Lambert as a manager. Could be the exact same. Could be the exact same for Scott Brown. Might take Scott Brown a couple of years to make it as manager. You know, some managers don't really come good. I mean, Scott Brown's still relatively young when it comes to managers. There's not. Sometimes you need to go on a bit of a journey. You know, maybe it'd be good for him if, I mean, he's went down to England and he tried his luck and it didn't kind of work out. Maybe it is time for him to just try and go and get. I mean, Sean Maloney did it. Number 2. to some fantastic managers out there. If you look at Fozzie, look at the German manager he worked with. But anyway, get Rose in now. Roll on the weekend. Yeah, roll on the weekend. Roll on Friday when we get a Celtic interview, a real one that will last around about. I think we should take bets on the press conference on Friday. How long will the press conference last, and how long will it be within the interview before they talk about the game on Sunday? I'm going to go first. I'm going to say that the press conference on Friday will be 18 minutes long, and I'm going to say that they'll spend 17 minutes of the interview talking about players that are out injured. There we go. And it'll be a quick one. It'll not be a long one. Take that back. I would say it'll be 13 minutes. And they'll do 12 minutes talking about injured players, and then he'll be like, I thought we were here to talk about the game this weekend. Jurgen Klopp and Bruni. Oh, that would be an interesting one. I really want Robbo to be announced. I really wanted it to be. Yeah, I said it was going to be an interview with Oxlade-Chamberlain. Do you know, he's back on British soil after a while when he was a Liverpool legend. Of course, it was going to be an interview with him. Bring Bruni home. Bring Bruni home. To do what exactly, though? Do you know, you then be forcing a number 2 onto a manager. Don't you want the next manager to bring on his own team? I don't know. It's a hard one. Grow up in Ayrshire or town and you'll have the hide like a rhino. I'd like to rename Lennoxtown as the Tommy Burns Training Centre. Then in the summer, some kids of Celtic Factor School. Hats off to Lisa Forrest for single-handedly winning the Glasgow Cup. Mentioned her this morning. Winding up the Huns, it's always good. Nancy could not afford more than 15 minutes for Martin O'Neill for the transition. It's very unusual that you get to speak to a stand-in manager. Do you know, and usually just a stand-in manager, Martin O'Neill said it, he said, look, do you know, managers come in and they have their own opinions and stuff. We all know that Wilfred Nancy was just way without his in the past. Tam the Czech would score in a barrel load if Jota and Kuhn had not. Well, that's like saying if yeah. It's Maloney and Fozzie that's been coaching the team in the last couple of months. The football's been shite. We need someone with experience and new ideas. It's good to see football changing again. Every team wanted to play like Pep, one-touch football. Now teams are going to set up formation. I think it's a lot better. I think that the one-touch football will always be a big thing. I think that if you go to a more possession-based football at Celtic in Scotland, you're on a hide into nothing. Especially when you have teams that play against us and that play one-touch football. You know, Scott Brown will be will be Celtic manager someday, but not just now, said Paddy Burns. I know another ex-Celtic captain that said the exact same thing to my father. And he honestly thought he was going to be Celtic manager one day. But he wasn't. He ended up going to Dubai, and he made his money in Dubai as a number 2 to an Irishman. And that was Roy Aitken. Roy Aitken, he always thought that he was going to be Celtic manager, and he didn't get the opportunity. So I think that Scott Brown will maybe go down that road as well. We need to stop counter-attacking football, getting in their box and passing. When I played one-touch football, only worked. Bruni needs to go to Wickham or Reading next. Does he need to go? Does he take? If I was Scott Brown, you've had a couple of jobs now, with a certain person as your number two. There's no prisoners in football, and there's as much as he's been your best mate. Sometimes you have to look out for yourself, and you go, do you know what? Maybe I need someone with a bit of experience. Maybe I need something a bit different. It's maybe not working out with him and Whittaker. It's just a thinking. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you keep on, if he goes into another job with Whittaker, and the same thing happens again, well, does he take all the blame on himself, or does he sit and go, right? I need to change something. Good managers don't keep the same number twos for three of. Alex Ferguson did it. Alex Ferguson used to change number twos all the time. Some people say, well, why change a winning thing? Well, sometimes there's complacency sets in. Sometimes you need that new idea coming in. Celtic definitely need it. But anyway, Martinez is highly overrated, and Martinez is almost getting. They want rid of him in Portugal. Alleged with our man in Portugal. St Mirren are naming the new manager. That could be a good move for Bruni next season. Ange may be worth a revisit. He's not coming back to Celtic. Like I said this morning, Celtic are doing their business right now. They would likely to give him the job. Talking about Scott Brown. Yeah. Roll on August. And it's not even August, mate. I think that I think it's just the end of the season, and just to get whatever happens with the season, I think it'll just be a relief when this season's over. And I think for the first time, I might take a good couple of weeks off and just not even do anything with football. But knowing the way that Celtic go, there's going to be that much Celtic news coming out this summer, and links to players and stuff. That yeah, that's a good shout. Bobby Lennox Town. Should be called Bobby Lennox Town, should it? Should be. Bobby Lennox Town. Should have called it that anyway. Luckily we get 8 minutes. I'm just jumping through some of these comments. And I would say it'll take 10 minutes before they say on Friday. Bring back Nancy. Wee Laptop is involved with training. Yeah. How is he still at Celtic? Jed Johnson's coming in with a super chat. Thank you for that, Jed. Defo, a European manager in the hot seat. I think that it needs to be someone that has had some kind of achievement in a European context, be it won leagues in Europe, or because if we go down the same old route, it could be a big, massive downgrade. Steve Clark is the I am jolly of football. But Jolly was really funny. He's also a fucking Hun. Bruni will join Rodgers in Dubai and make a fortune. Nah, doubt that. Doubt that. Can't see that. Scott Brown and Sean Maloney as pathway team. Nah, Scott Brown needs to be working with players on a daily basis. Pathway manager, you're not really on the training pitch. So let's say that Bruni comes back as manager, doesn't do well, his football legacy will be ruined in my opinion. He's not going to get the manager's job. No way. No way. Steve Clark with Brown as assistant. Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking, mate. That would be an interesting scenario. Scott Brown's just shown he's a shit manager. Not all great players make decent managers. Yeah, I've mentioned that. Still saying Robbie Keane. Oh, Robbie Keane. Jim Goodwin over to us. McKenna. I don't think we're going to get McKenna. Anyway. Right. Let me just jump on to this story. The amount of people that are now jumping on the bandwagon think that Dermot Desmond's selling the club. There's no way he's going to sell the club. I mean, we all know that he's overdue. Nah, talking nonsense, mate. Talking absolutely nonsense. Anyway, right, what time? Oh, we've been on for 41 minutes tonight. Right, Bruni back with Steve Clark as number 2. Anyway, right, that has me done and dusted. Paul McKenna to hypnotise Scales to being good. That's on. That's that. I'm not buying that one. Scales has been fantastic for us over the years. He's stepped up to the mark on many occasion when other players have went down injured. No way to Robbie Keane. Don't want anything to do with Robbie Keane. Jesus, I didn't even mention Robbie Keane, did I? Steve Clark works with McGinn, KT, Robbo. They played well under him. But no, I'd take John Kennedy back as manager. John Kennedy back as manager? Somebody put another comment up. I can't end on that comment because we've had John Kennedy as standing manager. He was garbage. DD will never share his own. Oh, Jesus. Right. Anyway, that is me done and dusted this morning, this evening. Fucking don't even know what time of day it is. Anyway, I shall see you all in the morning when we're one day closer. Scotland play tomorrow. Who's watching the Scotland game? What time is it on it? Scotland, Ivory Coast. Friendly. Will I watch it? Nah, because that means fucking. Nah, I'm not watching it. Fucking shite anyway. Watching that pish one. Oh Jesus. Right. I shall see you on the morning. I'm not watching Scotland tomorrow. Bugger that. Not a chance. Have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.